Chulo. Got a huge Monday. It's going to be great today. Sitting directamente to my left, my man right over here, Miguel, coming to help me out. And, of course, Dando over here on my right. Hey, how you guys doing, man? I heard you had a live show.
Yes, we did.
Over at, it was Danny K's, correct?
Danny K's in Orange.
Big fight weekend. We're going to get into that a little bit. In just about a minute or so, talk a little bit about the fights, and then we're going to talk about some upcoming fights, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on Bellator. But real quick, before we get into all that, tell us a little bit about Danny K's in the live show now. We talked a little bit before we went on the air, so I'll pose this question to Miguel first. Okay, the sleeper. They always say the sleeper of the night, but I'm going to go on and say Damian Maia against Tyrone Woodley.
So, I'm not even going to let you finish that, but I agree.
Real quick, tell us, when you're at a live event like that and you're covering one of the huge UFCs and things of that nature, tell us a little bit about the atmosphere, first of all.
Well, as far as the atmosphere in there, that place was actually really cool, super. It was a packed house, but it wasn't like all, like loud. Well, it was loud, but it wasn't like overly too rowdy, but it was like the perfect atmosphere. That place is
pretty much
having a good time. Everybody is like just, staring at the TV, watching the fights, it wasn't like anything, they didn't have like, baseball on this TV, and
it was just
the whole thing
itself.
was the fights
So
itself.
you can more or less pay attention directly to the fight.
And the fact that it was right around the corner from the Honda Center made it even cooler. You know what I mean?
Now, did any of the fighters actually come to Danny K's afterwards?
I don't think
Dando?
we stuck around long.
No.
Oh, did you guys sleep right after
We
the
hit
fight?
the road right after the fight.
We still had to pack everything up and, hightail it out of there.
We were working.
So did you guys do actual commentary on the fight, or did you guys just watch the fight and then comment after, or tell us a little bit about
We
that? I didn't get
covered.
to check it out.
It was really, really cool. We actually came. We set up. We were able to cover each event as it came live. We invited actual people that were patrons of Danny K's to come sit with us, get their opinions about what was going to happen, what their thoughts were, who they might think might win.
And to just give us their opinion why they like hanging out there,
Yeah.
Right.
You get a little bit to know more about Danny K's and all that good stuff.
And the people that were there, it was awesome.
And as the fights progressed, did we start and people start to drink a little bit more here and there? Did the atmosphere start to change a little bit towards the end?
Oh, yeah, it got fun.
That's always the best part.
It got fun.
So that's actually how we met Aaron, right?
Yes,
Aaron who's
yes.
sitting in with us today, hanging
Producer Aaron.
in the producer spot today. Real quick, she's mic'd up. Tell us a little bit about that, how Danny K's was, because like you said, did you actually get to meet who we're talking about, the big black guy?
Rumble.
Anthony
Rumble
Johnson.
Johnson. You actually got to see him there at Danny K's?
No.
Oh, you went to the
That
fights.
was at the fan experience that they had over at.
She lives the.
Oh, so they had an
whole
actual
thing.
fan experience there?
Yeah, so Friday night they had the weigh-ins. Saturday around noon from noon to 4 they had fan experience. So they had merchandise out there. They had some fighters out there for you to meet.
So can you tell us who some of the fighters were?
Paige Van Zant was there.
Oh, I should have been there for that.
El Kukui was there.
Kukui.
Tony Ferguson. I can't remember the other ones.
So did you get to take a couple of pictures, or tell us a little bit about it?
I didn't stick around for that. I had already met them, and
Been there, done that.
I went straight up for the merchandise. I always like to get the event shirt, and
she rocked it
on my
at
way
Danny K's.
out, that's when I met Rumble.
On the way out from the fan experience.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So-
awesome. See, that it makes for good fan relationship when you have stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the fighters, a lot of people kind of have that reputation of being sort of like an animal or whatever. But most of the fighters are pretty cool.
They're people
and
too,
like we
man.
were talking about before we went on the air. I mean, there's no bad publicity or whatever. They want to make sure that they're nice to the fans and stuff like that.
should
So,
be.
all in all, I thought it was a great night of fights. Like we talked before when I was on your guys' show last Monday, we talked a lot about gambling, talked a lot about, you're going to gamble if you buy that pay-per-view, like I bought the one with Yoel Romero and was
Oh, yeah.
completely and totally disappointed.
You got
But
robbed.
it was the exact opposite with this pay-per-view. I thought it was probably one of the best shows. I mean, you can't go wrong when you got Donald Cerrone and Robbie Lawler on the card. I mean, that alone is going to set the pace. But,
That was a war.
well, before we talk
Loved
about
it.
that, Friday night they had the replay of Bellator. Which they had their big pay-per-view at Madison Square Garden, which is huge.
That's
Madison
huge.
Square Garden,
New York
is-
in general.
Yeah, is just a huge the mecca of fighting and everything like that. And we talked a little bit before too about Chael Sonnen on your show, and I gotta tell you, man, that was the old Chael Sonnen that I was talking about, the one that fought Anderson Silva in the first fight. He fought Vanderlei and just said, I don't care what his plans are
Yep.
or punching or whatever. He went right at him, took him down, pounded him out for 3 rounds. I thought that was probably the best we've seen of Chael Sonnen at his age right now that we've seen in a long time. Would you agree?
I agree. Totally agree.
Still able to grind it out, you know?
Well, see, we had Mark Black scheduled to come on. Mark Black is a wrestling coach. Kenny Johnson is the main coach at Black House MMA, and when he can't be there, if he's doing, because he does a lot of seminars, he takes a lot of fighters out to the fights. Mark steps in once in a while, so I want to talk to him about that because personally, not only because I've coached wrestling for a while, but to me, it seems like that's the formula. We're going to talk a little bit about Tyrone Woodley and Damian Maia, but when you see somebody like Chael Sonnen, who has that ability to just shoot in, grind him out, and pound him out
at will.
Yeah, I think that's the formula, man.
Yep.
I mean,
He did it to Anderson.
It is.
Yeah, like
That's a fight.
It is a fight.
It would behoove you in this day and age to really practice your wrestling, really get in there. I mean, you have to have all aspects because you got to be able to finish the fight. But just seeing the old Chael Sonnen and seeing what he did to Vanderlei in that fight, I mean, I was totally impressed. I mean, it doesn't really matter how old you're getting, you still got that knowledge, and you come from that background where you're just continually grinding it out. And then in wrestling, you don't know who your opponent's going to be when you go to a tournament. So you don't say, well, this is a jiu-jitsu guy, I'm going to strictly, try to avoid submission or whatever. You just go.
You stick to your game, man.
Yeah, so I thought it was awesome. So to Chael Sonnen, hey, man, that was a great fight. I've always been a fan. I think he kind of slowed down a little bit. I would have liked to have seen him do that to Tito.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
I
they
think, I think that would have been great. That would have put him on another level.
Yeah.
But things happen. He says he tapped him, and that I watched that fight a few times, and I got to say I think he did tap him in that fight. And I actually listened to his podcast, and he said Tito told him afterwards, yeah, I did tap, but what are we gonna do? I'm not gonna sit there and get up after it. So
The show must go on.
great showing by Chael Sonnen. Look forward to him in the future. He's asking for Fedor. I think Fedor's kind of lost his luster a little bit after the Mitrione
It's
fight.
not the same
I wouldn't
Fedor.
have called out Fedor, especially had Fedor won. I think it would have made perfect sense. He's calling him out. He won. He beat. Whatever.
But the 205-pound division in Bellator is pretty stacked.
It's a rocket
you got
division.
Phil Davis,
Ryan Bader.
Yeah,
Yep.
man, that's a tough division right there.
I know
Phil
it.
Davis is a bad dude, man. I had him picked to beat Bader, and he ended up winning. So, but I think Chael can still give him a run for their money. What do you think?
I think so. No, especially Bader. Bader coming from the same wrestling background.
Well, let me do a quick public service announcement real quick. Scott Coker, hook it up, man. Let's get Chael Sonnen in there before he gets a little bit too worn out. I would like to see that fight. So you're good friends with Scott Coker, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can you give him a call? Let him know
Give
what's
him a
up.
call.
Yep. See if he could hook it up with
You
some
got
seats.
I think
That's
that would
right.
be it. So one more fight from there. Lorenz Larkin. He fought. It's Douglas Lima, right? Because
Yep,
there's
that's
Diego
right.
Lima and there's Douglas Lima.
Douglas Lima. Yep.
And Lorenz Larkin, good friend of mine. I have a pretty good working relationship with Millennia MMA, Matisse, and all them up there. I had Lorenz Larkin on when he was first coming up, and the dude. Well, plus he's got a victory over Robbie Lawler.
That's right. Yeah, he does.
That dude.
That's something to
has
have in your pocket, man.
He
That's
has
something.
The tools, And like I was talking about Cerrone, sometimes he looks like a world beater. I mean, that guy's got hands. He can stick and move. He fought at 205 at one time, and he fought a real big white dude. I can't remember back in the Strikeforce days, and he really impressed me with that. So when he was gonna fight Douglas Lima, I thought, man, this is it, man. I know Larkin can take this dude or whatever. But to me, it seemed like he stepped off the gas a little bit. Did you get a chance to check that fight out?
Oh man,
Yeah.
I think he slowed down a little bit. I mean, I really don't know what else to say.
Do you think it was a matter of him trying not to get hit?
I think that he's gotten to that level where, you can be outclassed real quick when you're at the high level not strike. Is it Strikeforce?
No, he's in Bellator.
Bellator. That's what it was. The high level Bellator fighters. I think he's just getting to that level where his level of fighting is getting matched up now. They're getting to the top of the food chain.
Yeah, big time. And I think maybe he felt a little bit of power and
Yeah.
kind of backed off. And
It's
tried
going to back you up, right?
the
The best way to back a guy up is,
exactly.
pop him in
Hit
the
him with
nose,
some power.
right?
Kind of step back a little bit and try to fight, coming back. Well, let's ask our guest, Aaron. Did you get a chance to see Lorenz Larkin fight?
I did. I
Douglas
love
Lima?
Lorenz Larkin. He's from my hometown.
Riverside?
He has the Rain Cross bell on his head.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, very
Now,
cool.
have you actually been to Millennia Mixed Martial Arts with Batiste and Romy Aram and all them?
No.
Okay, well, you should seriously take a trip out there.
Okay.
Because
We're going
there's
to do a field trip.
Yeah, there's so
Okay.
much to do. Not only is Millennia MMA right there, but you got Victoria Gardens. There's so much. The Bass Pro Fishing
Bass
Shop.
Pro Shop.
Bass
I
Pro
can hang
Shop.
out all day long.
You can make a whole day. You can
I'll
make
do a whole day in Bass
exactly.
Pro.
There's the
Forget
big,
about it.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Ontario
Over in
Mills.
Rancho, right?
Yeah.
You can get a massage. You can get everything. So we're gonna have to make a trip out there to just to go visit. They're always out there, Lorenz Larkin and the other guy, they call him Johnny Bravo. I forget, Jonathan Wilson.
Oh, Jonathan Wilson. Yeah.
He fights out there. There's a lot of good fighters out there, so it's cool. We have to, Robert. Maybe we could take the equipment out there and do a live broadcast from Millennia
We
MMA.
would love
I
that.
think that would be cool.
That's a thumbs up from the producer.
and I owe them. I owe them a couple because I've been saying I've been going to go out there for a little while. So
We're going to go with the whole crew.
definitely have to do that. Aaron,
Yeah.
you're
We got our
welcome to come
cheerleaders
along.
with us.
Now, real quick before we get into talking about the fight, have you ever been on a road trip with some jiu-jitsu guys or mixed martial arts fighters?
No.
Okay, well, there's a lot of BO, there's a lot of farts.
Oh God.
I
don't even want in on this.
I just got to get you prepared for it because we took a road
I was
trip.
like,
with
I
our-
don't even want in on
we
this.
took a road trip with Thomas Kinney during the WEC days, and let me tell you something. It was probably maybe close to 5 or 6 degrees on the Grapevine. It was snowing. We had every window down because he was killing us
Oh,
back there.
jeez.
We literally were in the
That's-
back with our shirts up over our nose. So Thomas Kinney, if you're listening, man, for whatever I did in the past, I'm sorry. It'll never happen again. That's just something so you can get prepared for if you decide to take it. I'm just giving you fair warning because that's the way it goes. But
She's never coming back.
that's what I'm talking about. But anyways,
See me at Danny K's.
for the people listening to us, you're here. You're at Fit to Fight with Favi Chulo. I got Miguel over here on my left.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
Dando over here on my right. Talk a little bit about Bellator, Vanderlei, and Chael Sonnen taking some road trips with Aaron, seeing if she can handle. Maybe she might want to get some sort of biohazard suit or whatever if she wants to travel with us. But
We like the biohazard suits.
yeah, we're gonna shift gears and we're gonna move to the pay-per-view. And I gotta tell you, man, I was very pleasantly surprised. I knew it was gonna be
It was
pretty good
awesome.
just by the lineup.
Yep.
So we're gonna start with the main event, and we talked a little bit about on your guys' show.
That's right.
I
Setting it
thought-
up.
I thought for sure that John Jones was just going to completely destroy Daniel Cormier.
That's
He's
not
got
the
the
case.
form, and he's a big dude. As you can see, he scares me a little bit because he's got that hand with the fingers out,
Pokey
and
fingers,
and that
man.
scares
his
me.
Name, his name should be Pokemon.
Yeah.
Pokemon.
He loves to pose.
Daniel Cormier surprised me. He had his hands up. He was kind of coming up under and
Yeah.
throwing some uppercuts,
Yep.
coming across, and it seemed like he had no fear. He was taking a few shots, and he kept coming.
He's
I thought,
backing him up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's
came
backing
forward
him
the
up,
whole
yep.
fight.
He was actually, I think, minus 160 or something, or minus 260, I think, maybe.
Underestimated.
As an underdog, and I thought, wow, that was a big mistake. We should have put some money on because he looks like he's going to do some.
We
damage.
got to look at those numbers more often because I need
What-
some money.
After those first 2 rounds, I said, you know what? He's going to try to drag him into the deep waters.
And yeah.
Get him trying to tire him out. He's going to get him to the ground, and he might pound him out.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, man, he's got something here. 3rd round, bam, high
The
kick,
head kick,
boom,
yep.
he was done.
That was a
Oh,
small
yeah.
mistake. That was
So-
a game of centimeters, and he missed it by that much,
Yeah,
right?
and it just goes to show, no matter what your game plan is, if and I think John Jones could have kicked him from like his corner all
Yeah.
the way over to his corner
Oh, yeah.
with that long leg, but he caught him, dropped him, and that was it.
Yep.
So anything can happen in a fight. Now the big controversy, for lack of a better term, after the fight was he was crying, he was pushing John McCarthy, he was mad, a lot of emotion.
Real man cry.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all good.
I can kind of see.
Cry myself to sleep.
Yeah.
He spent 2 years preparing for this.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I
Yeah.
can kind of
That's
see.
something.
and not only
you know?
that, but you have to think he's concussed. I mean,
Exactly. Plus, he had him going. I mean, he was doing everything right. He was hitting on all cylinders and everything. And before you know it, bam, lights out. So there's going to be some emotion. Now, they said, Dana White said, don't interview him. Let him go or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
Later.
Yeah. And then Joe
And
Rogan did it
went
anyways.
over
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
talked to
you
him and-
typically don't interview the person that just lost the fight. You interview the person that won the fight.
especially when they're in that sort of an emotional state.
I mean,
And,
most
you know,
people would be.
So they got pictures of him crying, and and everybody's calling him a baby. So it just
Now the
really-
internet's teeing off on him.
We live in a
Yeah.
world
Well,
of
you know,
memes. I've seen
nowadays with
1,000.
social media.
Yeah.
If-
Yeah, oh, yeah.
If you do anything like that, they're just gonna run with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Poor guy.
yeah, so he's kind of taking a little bit, a few hits or
Yeah.
whatever here and there. Now, do you blame Joe Rogan? Do you think he should have said, "Hey, let him settle down. Maybe we'll get him in the back," or you think, "Hey, man, this is the time to get him. Let's get him and let's make it more organic."
I think he admits his own mistake.
He
was
yeah.
concussed, possibly, whether you knew or not. He took a beating. That was a baseball bat to the
Not to
side.
mention, you guys saw even after they stopped the fight and they tried to put him back in the corner or sit him down, he was
Yeah.
still all wobbly.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly.
Give a man some time.
So
And
Joe
apologized.
Rogan came out and apologized.
And he's
Oh
right
yeah.
to do so.
Oh, he did.
He
Yeah,
did.
he said.
He's
Yeah,
right
he
to
said
do
he
so.
made a mistake.
do you remember what he said? Did he say, "I just decided
He said
to
that
be
he
militant and go get him"?
No, it was just in the heat of the
it was
moment.
the heat of the moment, and he apologized. Looked like a heartfelt apology. He
He said he'd never do it again.
Yeah.
He will never make that mistake again because he knows better.
That's
And it was kind of a trap. He just fell into it.
that's true. And I
But
think
sorry.
ahead.
But I was gonna say, in all, I mean, they still had the post-fight conference thing. I mean, they could have
The press conference.
Yeah. You know, obviously they could have asked them everything there. You know.
I know. Well,
That's an ugliness, man.
What remains for Daniel Cormier? He should move up to heavyweight, man. I mean, Cain Velasquez is his boy, but sometimes you got to put that aside, man, and go with what's gonna be best for you.
Yeah.
He has trouble making weight. He's a good heavyweight. He's an Olympic caliber wrestler.
I prefer to see that.
Yeah.
We need to change that weight class. I'm bored with Kane.
I
Sorry, I like him. I love watching him. But I want to see some.
and the heavyweight division
mix it up.
itself really needs something.
Not to mention
it
he's
up.
always getting hurt. You know.
Yeah, we need to bring it up. So hopefully Daniel Cormier move up to heavyweight, do some damage up there. Now, what's next for John Jones? Calling out Brock Lesnar. I know that's the big money fight, which is smart. That's what they do in wrestling. They want that. And the same thing in boxing. Everybody wants to fight Mayweather. Everybody wanted to fight De La Hoya back in the day.
You got to get paid at some point.
Yeah,
You
but
can love what you do, but you got to pay the bills at some point.
first
Well,
of
maybe
all,
he should
right?
spend his money a little bit wiser, and instead of on having too much fun. Just saying.
No more powdered donuts.
I mean, they could do a Kane, Stipe, Lesnar, Lesnar Jones, and promote the
and
heavyweights.
just blow it up.
That is true.
They could do that, but Brock Lesnar, first of all, he's still on suspension.
Yep.
Second of all, he's in the WWE. He's the WWE World Champion now. He's making a boatload of money. Doesn't have to take half the punishment that he does in the UFC. So
It does pay a little bit.
Oh yeah, and I really don't think he's. He doesn't even have to do house shows.
No.
He only does a few spot shows, TV. Why would you leave something like that?
Well-
I mean, if he beats John Jones, they're just gonna say, well, he should have beat him anyway.
He should
and
have
then if
beat
he
him.
loses
He
to
should
John
have beat him,
Jones, he's not gonna do much. So I think John Jones should stay at 205. Clean out the division, and then maybe some sort of super fight down the road.
Who was it that I agree? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I
That's
mean,
a
there
smart
there
game
was
plan.
somebody who actually called him out. Who I don't remember if you guys.
Conor McGregor?
Called out Jones.
Yeah,
He sure was.
they told him
I would love to see
Gustafson,
that.
wasn't it?
Gustafson. That's right.
That's
yeah.
who he should fight.
That's who he should fight.
Gustafson.
I agree too. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
who just won a Volkanov?
Oh yeah, the one that knocked out what's his name?
Ozedmir.
Manuel, the one who knocked out
Ozdemir.
Yeah.
It was Ozdemir.
Yeah.
And
Ozdemir, that's
that
right.
might
Yeah.
be next for him, but it remains to be seen. But great fight.
Good
I
call.
was truly surprised at how well Daniel Cormier did. I really thought he was just going to get smashed
No.
for sure. But
Quite the
props to
opposite.
him. He did really well. You could tell he had that mindset. I'm not going to let nothing stop me. I'm going right after him. So I would rather see him like that, live and die by the sword, than to run around that cage for 3 or 4 rounds like some people do. You know what I mean? So to Daniel Cormier, hey, props to you. Now, the fight that we were talking about before we went on the air,
Okay.
Tyrone Woodley against Damian Maia,
Exactly
was
what you were
horrible.
just saying. Yeah.
People started chanting boring.
Yep.
People started chanting we paid money.
Yeah.
People, I mean, it was horrible. I mean, but what can he do? You
Woodley
know,
wouldn't
you can't-
engage.
Well, you can't go after Damian Maia because if he gets you on the ground,
Yeah.
his MMA jiu-jitsu is on another level.
Yep.
He's going to submit you.
Yep.
But so he played it smart. If he shot in, he was pushing him away, take it back up on the feet, hit him with a few shots. I mean, he did all he could do, right?
How he stayed on his feet is mind-boggling because the man shot every few seconds. It seemed like.
Well, Tyrone Woodley is built perfect for that division.
Sure.
He's stocky. His legs are huge. And then once they got going and started sweating, he couldn't hold on to him,
yeah.
So
And those were quick shots.
that was
Those weren't jiu-jitsu shots. Those were like, Division I
Exactly.
wrestling
And then-
shots.
Yeah.
And then the first punch he hit him with just lit his eye up.
What I will say about Damian Maia is I respect the fact that even though he felt he couldn't take him down, he
Right.
continued to shoot
That's
instead
right.
of resorting to just pulling guard,
Right. And it looked like he might have even like a slight crack or even broken the eye socket because he hit him so hard.
Yeah.
And that thing just immediately
His
blew
orbital.
up.
Yeah.
So to just say, hey, I'm hurt, let's just keep going.
No, it's done.
Says a lot for Damian
Yeah,
Maia.
he fought through like a.
Nothing against
cracked
Damian Maia.
orbital.
I do agree
And
with.
Damian Maia's had a few shots.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
got to fight Anderson, kind of the same result. Same with Tyrone Woodley. I think he's done. What do you think?
I think he's going to still continue to grind it out.
I think so
He's not
too.
gonna give
I
up.
don't.
This is
I
what
don't
he
think he's
does.
quite done, but
Aaron, would you agree?
I don't think he's done, but I don't think he's going to get the belt.
No.
Yeah.
He,
I mean, I think he's just going to
That-
be
that's
a worker.
the
He's going to
challenge
be a
in itself,
worker.
yeah.
he
Yeah.
can,
You know.
he can keep going for quite some time because the style that he hasn't taken that much punishment, as a lot of fighters have.
Yeah,
Like,
this-
let's say Robbie Lawler
Yeah,
or guys
yeah.
like that. So I think he might. Maybe a couple more fights. He'll go back to Brazil, open up a school, and just kind of ride off into the sunset, which is what I would wish Diego Sanchez would do. I love
Oh,
that guy
yeah.
to death, but he just keeps taking fight after fight. And just, his fights, he gets there's not
gets-
one fight where he doesn't.
It's a
get crushed.
bloodbath.
Bad, yeah.
So I've seen him in Albuquerque, and I've told him, hey man, you about ready to open up your own gym, man? He's, no, I want to keep fighting and everything, but I'm not gonna tell him, hey man, you need to quit,
Yeah.
But I would like to see that.
He watches
because
too
he's-
much Anthony Robbins to
Yeah,
quit.
he's
He's got that yes in his mind. He's saying yes everywhere he goes.
He's put so
He
much
yelled-
time and
yeah.
effort into it. He deserves to, retire and ride off into the sunset.
That's
So,
heavy duty on the brain,
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Tyrone Woodley, he's looking for a super fight now.
Oh,
who
no.
Did he call out Michael Bisping, or who was he looking for? He was looking for somebody.
I think it was GSP, wasn't it?
It wouldn't be
Well,
that
every-
super if he's going to
No,
perform
I
in
didn't.
the same way.
I didn't think he really wanted to fight GSP.
I was
Did
going to
he?
say everybody wants to fight GSP.
If
now.
you're
I
smart,
mean-
yeah, they put you on the map,
Yes,
right?
maybe he did call out
I
GSP.
think he did, yeah.
And at first, I think Dana was saying that he was gonna the winner of that fight was gonna fight GSP, and now he's pulled that Bisping's gonna fight GSP.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, it remains to see what
That's
happens.
not a great comeback fight. I think they could line up something better.
I
I
mean-
want to see GSP fight. I want to see him fight somebody a little higher
Right.
ranked than
But
Bisping.
Michael Bisping coming off of see when I see Michael Bisping, I just feel so bad because you could see where they poked him
Yeah.
so bad.
Every
that
time
he
you
had
look at him.
detached retina and things like that. So he does deserve a big fight, maybe a couple more, so he can kind of retire and go to broadcast. And I think that would be perfect for him.
Yeah, with
But-
sunglasses on.
Yeah, but GSP's kind of lost a little bit of luster. I think if Tyrone Woodley fought GSP, I think Tyrone Woodley might do some damage, man. That guy's no joke. And who in his division, right? Well, maybe Robbie Lawler. I think Robbie Lawler, after defeating Donald Cerrone, he deserves another shot at the belt because he just got whacked and it was out.
Yeah,
He didn't
yeah.
even get a chance to get going.
I would
So
love that,
what,
yeah.
what do you think about that? You think maybe Robbie Lawler gets a rematch and then after that they could set something up?
I could dig that.
Yeah, what
I
about
could dig it.
That's a good match. I think
Yeah,
you're
I think
right
so.
about that.
Yeah.
Okay,
That
you're
has
right.
to happen.
Yeah.
I don't really see anybody else other than,
That's a good setup.
my opinion. I don't think there's anybody else worthy of stepping up as a
You're a
contender.
good businessman. You got that
Well,
stuff
yeah,
down.
there's no one in the world of mixed martial arts who deserves more than Robbie Lawler. That
Yeah.
dude did a complete 180 and really did so. So he actually does deserve another shot at Tyrone Woodley. I don't know if it'll
Yeah.
be the same outcome or whatever, but he definitely does. So real quick, let me make another quick service announcement. Dana White, let's go ahead and hook that up. All right, Tyrone Woodley against Robbie Lawler. Let's make it happen, buddy. Supercard, here we go.
Shoot us some tickets too, please.
Or maybe Ronda. Well, no, she's
Press
145.
passes.
Anyway, so did all he could do when you're fighting against somebody like Damian Maia. That's going to happen. So we talked about this also on your show. I didn't think anybody can beat Christina Cyborg. Justina, she's not
dude.
Santos anymore. I love Tanya Evinger. She's been around for a long time, man. She's paid her dues. She's grinded it out. But dude, when she got in that cage, she looked like she just got off the couch.
Yes, she
dude.
I mean,
did.
she just looked.
She looks soft.
Did you
When
see
you
her
s-
when she got dropped? Like what? The first 3 seconds, it just. I'm like, oh no.
When you see her and you see Christina, it's like night and day.
There's
It's
two
like,
levels of
dude.
fighters there, yeah.
But to her, giving her some props, she did hang in there. She tried to close that distance. She
Yeah.
tried to take her down.
She
but
fought.
It just was not going to happen.
Yeah.
It was you watched that fight and you could tell it was only a matter of time.
Hey, I thought Cyborg kind of carried the fight a little bit. You know what I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
I have-
I think for sure.
I have Jason Perillo coming on my Wednesday show, and I'm going to ask him because I think he might have told her, "Hey, why don't you slow the pace down? Don't go right in after her and go nuts like you usually do. Because if she gets a hold of you and gets you to the ground, there's a chance that you could get armbarred or maybe submitted.
No doubt
or
about it.
So she kind of played it safe. She kind of came, moved back, hit her with a few shots, softened her up. I think that might have been the game plan to drag her into the deep water, seeing the type of shape that she was in. That might have been the game plan to. But once she caught her, that was it, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Just real quick.
Producer Robert got a question.
No, just a couple of comments from people just to make sure if
Go
Favi
for
wanted
it.
to talk to you. Freddie Flores, he says, shout out to Favi repping La Raza.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Nicolette Marie
Down
says
with the
hello.
Nicolette Marie, one of the up-and-coming wrestling stars that is also in La Raza with Freddie Flores and Alexander Vega.
Arturo Ramos Jr. says, Thomas Kenny isn't like that. Those are lies.
Obviously, he has never taken a road trip with Thomas Kenny. Not only did he drop bombs in the car, but
Jeez.
I fell asleep. Him and Sergio went to breakfast. They turned the heat all the way up to 105. I woke up in a pool of sweat, wondering what was going on, and also made the mistake of going outside to get something in my boxers, and they locked me out for about for like about a half hour. It was funny. It was funny for about 10 minutes, and then about 15, 20, it wasn't funny anymore. And then all the embarrassment was gone by 40 minutes, so it was no big deal. But
least you had your
And then the
boxers
cops
on.
showed up.
oh, dude, that's the kind of stuff that went on back in the day, WEC. So, props to him. So, anyways, talking a little bit more about Christina Cyborg Justino. Who's actually next for her? When
Is there someone?
When Jermaine Durandame
Yep.
fights for the belt, she wins the belt. They said your next opponent's going to be Cyborg, and she says,
just,
"You
"Screw
know what?
this."
I'd rather give up the belt than to fight her." What's next for her?
They were saying Holly Holm, but
Well, what if you pull a 135er like Kat Zingano, who has a really good ground game?
I don't know. I just see her just running through those girls, man.
I don't know if it'll get to the ground.
I mean,
and then does it matter because she does train in jiu-jitsu?
everybody
You know?
wants to see Ronda against her. I don't know.
that
if-
doesn't make
I
sense
don't think
in
Ronda
my
will do
opinion
it.
anymore, though.
But-
Ronda's not gonna.
No, I don't think so.
She won't fight. I don't know. She's having trouble fighting just the next person that's up in her contention. But how would she even step to that level for
Well, maybe
Cyborg?
Travis Hopper Brown will fight Cyborg first, and then the winner gets.
He's
the
having a
winner
tough
gets
time
her
too.
or whatever. So I mean,
What about
who knows?
Jeremy Stevens?
Yeah,
Jeremy Stevens and Cyborg. Who do you pick?
I'm gonna take
that's a
Cyborg
toss-up, man.
still.
She's tough. So other than that, I mean, but you're bringing up a 135 pounder to fight her. I don't really see anybody that makes sense.
Most
right
people
now.
at 135 pounds don't look like that. That's the problem. They're not
Right.
built like the structure isn't there, right?
Right.
And in the
As you
training,
can see by her fighting Tanya,
Yeah.
the differences or whatever. So it remains to be seen. If I'm the matchmaker, if I'm Sean Shelby or whatever, I'm looking for somebody that can actually give her a fight. Or do you look for somebody to keep her winning because she's selling tickets? You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you bring up somebody from 135 pounds, I don't really see anybody. Kat Zingano, yes, good fighter, but I don't see it, man.
Or they
I don't-
get a true 145er like Megan Anderson. I don't know what's
that's
going
what
on
they were
with
saying
her.
might be the next fight for her, Megan.
I think
Anderson.
Megan Anderson needs a couple more fights, but
Agreed. So right now, I think she's going to be sitting on that title for quite some time. I
Yeah.
mean, it long overdue. She should have fought for it a while back. They
Should
should
have
have
got it.
implemented the 145-pound division a long time ago. They
Yeah.
need to implement a 125-pound division because going from 115 all the way up to 135, that's a big space.
It is, yeah.
In
Yeah.
between. And personally, I don't see anybody beating the 115-pound champ, Joanna Jędrzejczyk.
Yeah.
nobody's going to be her. Yeah,
Now
she's
that
got-
girl, Muay Thai on a different level.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
mean, that
All
girl
her
is
striking, man.
Just like almost like a combination of Donald Cerrone and who else is like a good boxer. You know what I mean? Just pinpoint accuracy, and she'll
Yep.
do that. She'll throw one or two punches and then hit you with the kick before you even see it coming. That girl is on a different. If
Yeah.
we can bulk her up.
Yeah.
Joanna is a
Bulk her
champion.
145.
No joke.
Maybe there's a fight right there, or if we can. Well, Cyborg can't even get to 135, so that's never
Oh,
going to
yeah.
happen. But somebody in the realm of Joanna Jędrzejczyk, I think, might give her a fight. But until then, and I thought Jermaine Durandame might have given her a good fight.
Yes.
She's a good Muay Thai fighter.
Yeah.
And she's
I
a
think-
and she's a really really big girl.
yeah, and
You
I
know.
think it's in
Dutch
her
Muay
head.
Thai is
I
different,
think
too.
It's just in her head. She doesn't
Yeah.
want to fight or whatever. If you're the champion and you give up the belt, if I own the UFC, I think I'd say, well, you know what? I think you're done. I mean, we're not going to be like boxing and say, well, she's too tough, so I'm just going to fight this person. It doesn't work like that.
It almost
Nope.
wipes out the whole weight class for now.
Yeah, I
Right?
agree.
What do you do?
I agree 100%. So we look forward to seeing her next fight, seeing who they're going to match her up against, because it's going to be hard,
Yep.
whoever it is. So, props to her. It's been
Gabby
a long time
Garcia. How
coming.
about Gabby Garcia?
Oh, gee. No, see,
She'll fight Travis Brown.
Gabby would,
Oh, man.
Gabby would fight Joanna Jędrzejczyk because she's 40 pounds less than her,
Yes.
or whatever. So then the one we were all talking about, Robbie Lawler against Donald Cerrone.
Oh, dude, that was fight of the night,
Yeah, and
in my
you know-
opinion.
And
Both of them, both of
Robbie
them.
Lawler just came out and just really just
Right
Lit
out
him
of the
up.
right,
Lit
right
him
out of
up.
the gates.
Yeah.
Yep.
How's
Yeah.
that for a game
Yep.
plan?
He caught
I'm
him
going to
by
go out there and
surprise.
light him up for 30 seconds.
Yeah, pushed him up against that cage, dirty boxing. It was, vintage like Randy Couture when he used to do that, and really made a fight out of it. But Donald Cerrone kept under control.
He kept
finally
his
got it back-
composure.
finally got it back to where he wanted to. It did well, but I think it was justified. I think Robbie Lawler won that fight. A lot of people say that it should have been a split for Donald Cerrone. What do you think?
At most, I would have called it a split for Lawler though. I thought Lawler won two out of the
Right.
yeah, but definitely not. No, I overall the whole fight I thought Cerrone lost fair and square.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I love to watch Cowboy fight, but dang. Lawler brought the game, dude.
Too much for him.
Yeah, he overwhelmed him.
Right out of the gates, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to make it unanimous?
Yeah, I gave Lawler round 1 and round 3.
Now,
And-
Yep, me too. Yep.
Yeah.
Do you think Cerrone maybe in the third round should have maybe tried to take him down to you? Because his jiu-jitsu game is very underrated. He's got game on the ground. Do you think he might have? Do you think his coaches might have should have said, "Hey, why don't you
It
get
looked
him to
like
the
he
ground?"
was going for takedowns.
Yeah, it
and
didn't
he was
appear like he was
failing.
trying to.
It-
Yeah, but he just,
Just couldn't.
yeah.
So, I think Robbie Lawler should take on Tyrone Woodley. I think he deserves that. I think he, especially beating somebody like Donald Cerrone now.
Yeah.
What about Cerrone? You think he should drop back down to 155? You think he should stay where he's at? What do you think?
I thought he was a killer at 55.
It's what he does,
Yeah.
and he takes fights, on a whim. So yeah, do it.
Yeah.
I agree. So,
Keep fighting. Drop down to 55.
I thought
and
he
make
was a
some,
killer
make
at
some
55
noise.
for sure.
so did Connor give up the belt, or is still?
No, he's still under 155.
So does that mean he has to wait until he fights Mayweather, and then what is that?
Well,
a
just
month
from the
away.
little, rumors that I've been reading about, he actually called out Khabib. And
Oh.
remember, I don't know if you came across
Yes,
any of that. He said
yes.
after Mayweather, he wants to fight him in Russia or something like that.
Right. Because there's him. There's Tony Ferguson.
Yep.
There's quite a few people.
Ferguson's
in that.
hungry.
I thought
Yeah.
I've heard a rumor they were making the Ferguson Khabib fight.
Well, that's what everybody's
then-
waiting for. That should have happened a long time
Yes,
ago.
Yeah.
the lightweight division is completely bogged down.
I agree
and
100%.
There
But
are
that
so many
fight,
good fighters in
that
there.
fight makes sense.
Yes.
Ferguson and
I agree.
because
Before-
they should, and then
Yeah.
maybe Cerrone one more fight at 155, and then we'll kind of see where it goes from there. Personally, at the weigh-ins, I thought it was just a tad bit disrespectful for Dana White to wear a shirt that had Conor McGregor and Mayweather on it, because it kind of took away from the
Big event.
yeah, from
Yeah.
the big event or
Yeah,
whatever. I
he's
mean,
selling the bigger fight.
Yeah, would you agree?
Yeah,
I agree.
you
Yep.
why sell that
thought
fight
was
till this
too.
fight's done?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You could have waited until after, and it's not like Dana White's not going to be making.
Not just that, they
any
don't have an
appearances
actual
anywhere.
UFC pay-per-view until after that big fight. So
Exactly.
Not only
So-
that, but UFC is not promoting the Mayweather Mac fight.
Right.
They aren't.
That's what Al
They-
Heyman
they aren't
Productions or Mayweather's.
It's actually. I think it's it's
Showtime?
Mayweather, and then McGregor has his own
McGregor
productions
yeah.
now.
He
Oh,
started
wow.
up his own
Yeah,
production.
he has his own
McGregor,
entertainment.
yeah.
To go along with
thing.
the FU
Yeah.
suit.
And then there's that
making
Zuffa. You
need
saw
one of
him
those,
walking
by the
around
way.
with that Zuffa boxing.
Right.
So UFC is not involved in promoting it. So I agree. It was disrespectful. He shouldn't have worn that shirt.
I because I noticed it right away at the weigh-ins. I thought, man, come on, dude.
Yeah.
You could have put that on a little bit later on or whatever.
Build this up because
Yeah.
he had it right before him. A good card, solid
Exactly,
card, right?
Yeah, a really good paper.
You're in
that
this
you can
game.
sell. But real quick for the people listening to us and watching us, you're here. You're at Fit to Fight with Favi Chulo. Got my man Miguel over here, Dondo over here on my right, and special guest today, Aaron, who's helping us out with a few of the picks. We got another Aaron here who's just kind of hanging out with
do.
us or whatever. So it's like Aaron night on Fit to Fight with Favi Chulo. Right? Talking a little bit about the pay-per-view that just passed. We talk a little bit about gambling and stuff like that. I thought this was one of the better pay-per-views. I thought even the undercard was really good. Now, is it Ozenmeyer, the Swiss guy that fought
it's Özdemir.
Jimmy
Özdemir.
Manuwa?
Ozdemir,
Ozdemir?
yeah.
Ozdemir,
Vulcan
man.
Ozdemir.
We talked on your show, and we said,
Yeah.
I even said it here. I said, man,
Manuwa.
Manuwa's got way too much power.
And
if he
we
hits him
were
with something, he's
wrong.
gonna-
We were so wrong.
But,
We'd be broke if we bet on it.
but
I picked him.
the thing about that fight,
Yeah.
I think move of the night has to go to Jason Herzog.
Oh!
When he got knocked out. He's holding him like this. Manuel starts to get up. He spins around in north-south position and almost put him in a dark
Twice.
to
Yeah.
calm him down. So Jason Herzog, hey, that new breed jiu-jitsu paying off, buddy.
Yep.
I mean, that was awesome. His instinct kicked in. He right away went to north-south, held him, and it ended up working out well for him. So props to Jason Herzog for that. That kind of shakes things up. Manuel was... I think he might have been in line for a title shot, but now Ozdemir, Ozdemir,
That's it.
with that quick knockout, he's got to be right in the mix.
Yep.
I think so.
You can't discount a man that just put you out and less than a round, right?
And took no damage, so he's going to be ready for a fight.
And like we mentioned earlier,
fight ready
if,
today.
if yeah, that's right. If Gustafsson and
ready to
Jones
go.
doesn't work out for whatever reason, that's your man.
Yeah, I think so. You
Yeah.
think he's ready for a shot at John Jones?
I think he's ready. Yeah. I picked Ozdemir.
That's a big.
Okay.
That's a big step up for him, though.
I
think that's.
I mean,
huge.
I think I'd like to see him fight Gustafson.
Right.
I don't know if he's fought Gustafson.
Well, I don't
yet.
know if they like
I
that.
don't
That
think
I
he
don't think
has.
he's
Swiss
fought,
on
no.
Swiss crime, but if
I-
they have to
Yeah,
do
they
it,
don't
I
set
think
those
he
up.
might have called out Gustafson on Twitter.
Well, he's smart to do that
Ozdemir
because if
did.
he goes straight to Jones, that's a big step up for him, and I think
That would be a great fight,
might
but
be
I
just
think
a tad
Gustafsson was
bit too
really
much for
waiting
him.
for that Jones fight.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, hey, if they make it, it's not like nobody's going to want to see it.
That's
You
what
know
they're
I
going to
mean?
make. I think they're going to
Yeah.
make that happen.
He needs to defend the belt.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. We'll see what happens if he's going to be able to. Once he wins the big one, he kind of celebrates a little bit too much there. I'm not going to tell him that,
Whoa.
but
He's done it before, so hopefully he's lost those bad habits.
It remains to be seen.
Stay away from Disneyland.
Yeah, right.
Not only did they have a great pay-per-view, I got to see some of the prelims, and we were talking a little bit before we went on air. I think Brian Ortega's going to be a player. He had that injury, and he was out for a little while. He's been Gracie Jiu-Jitsu from the beginning, with Henner and Halleck and Hedon and those guys, which are the main guys from the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy, the original one that's in Torrance. When back in the day when I had the show over on Sunset and Hobart, 2004, when they were hungry, both Henner and Halleck came on the show. Halleck was 18, and I think Henner was barely 21 or whatever, and they were just geared towards pushing the books and pushing all the videos and stuff like that back in the day. So they were really hungry. They were always pushing the Torrance Academy. You got to come learn from us. You got to learn from the source. They were bringing it to you from the source. Brian Ortega is probably one of the only people that I've seen that's actually started Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, stayed in there, and came all the way up with them. And the proof is there. I mean, he was taking some shots. I think he might have took a little bit more punishment than he should have. I think maybe he should have took him down earlier. But to me, it seemed like everybody knows he has the jiu-jitsu. Now, do you think, I'll pose this to you and then I'll come over to Dando. Do you think it was a case of, I know I have great jiu-jitsu, I want to stand with them, and if it does go to the ground, I don't have to worry about it? Or do you think he was more trying to prove something with the stand-up because he has such great jiu-jitsu?
I almost felt like he was trying to prove something with the stand-up. Like he was trying to, either showcase or whatever, just test.
Which was not bad.
Yeah,
He
it
was
wasn't
moving,
bad.
Yeah, but he was getting hit.
But I will say that had the fight gone all 3 rounds, had he not finished them, I would have given the fight to
Ortega?
I cannot pronounce his name.
Yeah, he was doing more damage with his punches. But I think that's Brian was trying to prove a little something. But as soon as it went to because what happened was he hit him with a few shots. Once Mohicano started catching some of that fire, he said, "Let me take him down," which was the biggest mistake he could have made because. If you see that, when he put him in the guillotine, he didn't just put him and lean back. He leaned more forward and cranked him.
He knew the dynamics of the guillotine.
Instantly, he tapped like that.
No, absolutely.
So, I mean, he's got the technique. Just, do you think he needs to polish up his boxing, or do you think he should just stay where he's at and just start trying to take him down, finishing him off, which is his power?
I always think it's both. You do polish up your boxing because clearly he wasn't at the level with that.
Right.
But maybe that's why he stayed in the pocket and banged with him. He
Right.
did take some damage, but when he needed to finish him, guess what he did? He used what he could use.
Exactly, but he didn't shoot in and try to take him down.
No.
He was still swinging. He connected with a few punches, which led to the other guy, Mohicano, taking him down.
Yeah.
and he fell right into the
And
guillotine.
opened it up, yeah.
Yeah, so I think Brian Ortega's a player, man.
Yep.
At 145, I think just maybe polishing up the stand-up game a little bit. The jiu-jitsu's there. It's going to be there. He doesn't have to worry about that. I think if he polishes it up, I think he's going to be a big-time player.
I agree.
140. Now, talking to Aaron about the 155-pound division, I think the 145-pound division is stacked beyond stacked. Ricardo Lamas, his fight, this kid, what was the kid's name from Memphis or whatever?
It's Jason Knight.
Jason Knight. He was the big thing, and
Lamas
Ricardo
put him in.
Lamas just put it on him, dude.
Yeah.
He's there's no substitute for experience or whatever, and he just went right at him and ended up knocking him out. So that 145-pound division is really stacked. Now, with that victory, I think if they put Brian Ortega against Lamas, that would be a huge test for him. If Ortega wins, that's going to propel him up, and if Ricardo Llamas wins, he should get another title shot. Would you agree?
I agree. I think that actually would be a good fight for Ortega.
Yeah.
And I also thought it was a pretty good win for Lamas.
But
Because he has been on a couple bad ends of
right. But he's fought top-notch people. He's never taken a
That is
potato
true.
cake.
He's never taken
He's fought Jose Aldo back in the day.
Yeah.
All his fights
They're all
have been
legit fighters.
against top-level guys. Now, the thing is is if they do set up Ortega against Ricardo Llamas, he's on another level as far as his punching is concerned too.
Yep.
That dude can do some damage. So does he go after him and try to trade punches with him, or does he just go in and try to take? I personally think he should close the distance, get him to the ground, try to submit him as fast as possible.
Take his little
he doesn't-
damage, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
You
he
don't
doesn't
want to
take
leave
as
there.
much
Yeah,
damage.
exactly. You're not going to be yourself.
Yep.
You
You
agree?
take too many blows.
I'll
you
be
get-
honest with you. I think Ortega, the best time to show off his hands would be against Lamas. Just my opinion. And I mean, the last few guys that I saw Lamas fight, like he fought. I'm sorry, I'm brain farting like crazy. Just lost to Conor McGregor. Alvarez.
Oh.
Right?
Oh, Eddie Alvarez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Eddie Alvarez has solid hands. I mean, I'm sorry, but they're not top of the line.
Right.
But he's got a decent stand-up. I thought he lit Lamas up.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
He did. And when you're a guy like Brian Ortega who doesn't have to worry about it, you can throw hands. And if it gets a little too hot in the kitchen, he can take them down.
Yep.
His jiu-jitsu's there, and it's going to work. It's going to do really well. So I think he's going to be a player at 145. Look forward to his next fight. Dudes, talk about paying your dues. That guy's paid a lot of dues, too.
Yep.
He's come up the hard way.
I don't think he mentioned any names either, but I know he said he definitely wanted to step up. I didn't
Right.
catch too much of his.
He didn't mention any names, but he did mention Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. He said, as the grandfather Helio said, and he went on a little speech about that. So he's in that same realm of going with the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Well, he's ranked to number 3.
Well,
Oh
So,
man!
yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that move
Okay.
came
I
up. So
mean-
you think that would be a good fight against him?
I actually
and-
think that's a solid fight.
against
Yeah.
Ricardo Llamas? That would test him, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's a good test, like I was saying, for his stand-up.
Exactly.
Personally, I think they'd both make a
So,
killer fight.
Sean Shelby, you don't have to worry about it, dude. Just watch our show. We'll make we'll make the lineup for you. Bam. You don't even have to worry about it. Take a vacation. We got you, bro. So,
That's right.
That's a lesson in matchmatching today. I love it.
So all
Just
in
shoot us
all,
some tickets.
on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this pay-per-view a solid 9. Other than the Damian Maia fight, every fight was good. People
That's
were on
right.
their feet. I mean, even The Rock stood up and dwarfed everybody when they were fighting. So other than that fight, which really couldn't be helped, I thought it was really a solid 9. I thought it did really well.
And it was here in Orange County, man.
Yeah.
So Orange
Yep.
County was electric, man. It was lit up. Everywhere you went
It
was
was.
UFC.
Right.
It was out of control.
So it's good for the sport. Go ahead, Robert.
was wondering, did you guys catch the Caitlin Curran Albu fight?
Yeah,
on,
that was a really good fight. That was a
Oh, on Fight
grinding out
Pass?
fight. Yeah,
It was like-
on the
it was-
early
that was on the-
prelims.
The undercard,
Early
yeah.
It's on the
prelims,
Fight
yeah.
Pass prelims, yeah.
I didn't get a chance to watch it because I was setting up at the event. But yesterday I wanted to see if I could find it. I found it. I watched that fight. It was a great fight.
It was a great
And
fight.
I've heard a lot about Caitlin Curran.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to see it, but I've heard a lot about her, and I heard
She's
she's
a little
doing really well.
demon.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, being from Hawaii, I kind of got to. It's like feels like my obligation, no duty to my to my state and people to make sure I keep up with all our Polynesian fighters or
That's true.
people from our place. So I made sure I found it. It was a great
She
fight.
was amazing, man.
It was a great fight. She didn't
She
win.
got a lot of heart. She
but-
took a beating. It just kept coming forward.
Well, I don't know why would they. I guess they have to do their thing for their fight pass or whatever. But it would be nice if they would just put them on the prelims.
Yeah, so
people could
everybody
get
can see 'em, right?
Yeah, give them the
Yeah.
exposure, man. Let
That's
them
right.
get out
People
there so
need that
everybody can
exposure.
see them, and it'll help. It's not like they don't need that much help, but it'll help them. So, Caitlin Curran, hey man, Robert giving you the props. Hopefully,
right.
we'll see you again soon.
She's
But
here in the OC. Let's get her on the show.
Robert, hook us up, man. Let's
I,
get her.
I don't I don't know Caitlin Curran at all.
I'll get her.
Well,
You're
Go ahead and
Hawaiian.
say
What's
Clemente.
there to know?
Yeah. Call her up, say, I'm Hawaiian. Let's go, and then we're good to go. Put that background. We're all set.
That's actually Mexico.
Okay, perfect.
Because-
Well, we'll get Brandon Moreno on here then. So, but as we can all attest to, women's MMA as a whole is just on fire. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
when you have women on the card, you know that it's going to be, a good card. Now, I'll pose this question to our round table here, which is more like a triangle. We talked a lot about this on our Wednesday show. I personally think this is when Ronda was at her peak. I personally think if he would have done UFC 200, all women's card, and had Ronda against Christina Cyborg Justino
Oh,
as the
dude.
main event, that would have broke all attendance records. They could have
Yeah.
had it at Dallas Stadium.
Biggest
That could have
fight
been the
ever.
main event. Joanna Jurjek against, she destroyed Carla Esparza, but
Yeah.
I can't remember who was hot at that time. But I think even now, even though Ronda's, kind of undecided on what she wants to do, if they did an all women's MMA card, I am 100% sure that it would sell out. Would
I
you
think
agree?
people want to see it.
I agree.
I
agree.
totally agree.
Well,
And I
the
think it
women's
would be
division
so
has come up.
stacked, and I wouldn't doubt that every fight would just be like, just fucking killer.
The
Exactly.
women's
Yeah.
fights are like the early UFC fights. They're swinging for the fences.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They leave it all in the cage. They leave it out
For
there.
instance, UFC 213, because Nunes and Shevchenko was canceled,
Right.
people came just to watch that fight,
Yeah.
and they went and got their refunds,
Hell yeah.
and it was empty there.
Well, I
there
had
wasn't
ordered-
that. There
I
were a
had
lot of
ordered the
empty seats
pay-per-view
there.
Right, the day of the fight, because I wanted to see Amanda Nunes and them. And then when she pulled out, I said, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me!" So, but just from like that, Nunes, and you got the Russian girls that are so got that European style and come straight ahead.
Yeah.
And even though Ronda's not in the picture anymore, I think if they make a whole women's UFC card, I think it'll sell out. I think it'll
Yeah.
do numbers. Women have no filter.
People
They
are
don't-
waiting
Yeah.
for her to come back or not come back. They want
Exactly.
the official word with what she's going to do.
If Dana was smart, hey, sit her down. Hey, look, you lost a couple of fights, no big deal. Look at the Diaz brothers; they don't worry about that stuff.
That's right.
Give you a couple
That's 'cause
more
they got
fights.
heart.
Let's do it. And if she comes back to the level that she was and main event, whatever, even if they did put her against Cyborg Santos, I think it would sell out, man. I think it would just do huge numbers. I don't think it's past. I thought UFC 200, if they had a Dallas Stadium and had that as the main event, I think it would have did huge numbers. I think women's MMA is completely on the rise. They don't say, well, this girl's jiu-jitsu, so I'm gonna lay back. They just come straight ahead.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
worry about what
They
your
don't care.
style is
Yep.
or whatever. They just keep coming.
Yeah.
And the women that keep coming in, I mean, even Karate Hottie, when she was doing Bully Beatdown,
Yeah.
when I saw her, I said, man, that girl's got skills. And then she got into the UFC, and I wanted to see her fight again. So it would really make for a great pay-per-view if they started bringing those girls into the mix. There's some girls that a lot of people don't know about, like I was telling you, Julianne Daniels or Pauline Peter Macias, who trains with Ronda, was training in Glendale, and moved to Memphis because they liked her so much. There's so many good women out there. I think it would be huge. So, again, Sean Shelby, Dana White, or whatever, we'll make the card for you, man. Don't even worry about it. We'll set it up. Let us know who's on the roster. We'll hook it up. Guaranteed sellout.
Just hook us up with some seats.
I think it would work, right?
That's right.
I would
So
love it. I would
everybody
love
would-
it.
Everybody
Honestly,
would agree on that?
I would love it.
think
I
the
would
next
love it
thing
if
coming,
Ronda
I
came
think you're-
back. I know
you're foreseeing
that
the
Team
future.
Alpha Male and I think even Team Elevation reached out to her.
Right.
I mean,
She
it
definitely
would be
needs
great.
a change of
Yes.
pace, for sure.
Well, I had Giovanni Varela on my other show, and he's a black belt under Go-Corp. And I asked him too. I said, "You think Ronda will ever be back?" And he said, "Absolutely." He said, "It's just it's just a matter of her just taking some time, getting some things together. But she will definitely be back." Pauline Peter Macias, who trained with her in Glendale, said the same thing. She said she's gonna be back. I trained with her.
We need
She's
to get her a
still-
boxing coach is
Yeah,
what we need to
she's-
do. A
well,
legit boxing coach. Put her with Greg
That
Jackson.
might be the problem. She might not want to leave. She feels a sort of sense of loyalty to a specific, club or whatever. But sometimes you got to just, you got to do what's right for Ronda and move on and keep going. There's way too much talent there for her to just leave.
Yeah.
And I know she doesn't want to leave on that note,
No.
losing to Amanda
No,
like
no,
that.
no,
So I
no.
know she wants to leave.
She's capable of coming back.
Yes, in a blaze of glory. Go ahead, Robert.
Here's my thought on this Edmund Tervidian thing. He's a legit boxing coach. It's not his that's not the boxing part is not his problem. I think it's the integration with the rest of everything else that's the problem.
Right.
That's what I think, because even you've seen those memes or those videos of him yelling and screaming, "Move your head, move your head." If you really pay attention to what he's saying, none of it is really wrong. Like, I mean, head movement. I mean, people make fun of it, but that's what you should be doing. He's not saying something wrong.
Right.
There's parts where he kind of freaks out and goes, clinch, 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 take her
Yes.
down. Take her. I mean, it's iffy, but I think it's how he integrates everything is the problem, not so much what he does, because he does actually train pretty decent boxers, or really good boxers. I mean, he has a champion. He had one.
That's true. That's a good point. But real quick, we're in the home stretch. You're here. You're at Fit to Fight with Favi Chulo. Got my man Miguel over here and Dondo, and we have special guest Aaron and the other Aaron. It's Aaron Knight here at the studio, and of course Robert back there working the
big
controls
Aaron Knight.
and putting in his thoughts. Now, I personally think that Ronda might have been a little bit confused. She might have thought, okay, I've been killing everybody with my judo. Maybe I want to stand. Edmund tells me, hey, man, you got hands. Let's use them or whatever. But she's got to go with what got her to the promised land. That second fight with Misha, Misha was trying to shoot in, and man, she would just dig those underhooks and just
Chug her.
tossed her like a salad. I mean, it was amazing what she could do. So if she goes back to the roots, goes back to her judo, yeah, everybody's got to throw hands. They all start on the feet, closes that distance like she's been doing, tosses them like a salad, puts them in a submission hold. I think there's no I think she could even do that to Christina Cyborg Justino.
She's got to work on that footwork, though. Isn't that what
Exactly,
got her in
exactly.
trouble with
Well,
Holly Holm?
But
True.
True,
It's
that
all
is true.
footwork.
Yeah, but even at that, unlike Holly Holm, I think Cyborg just comes directly straight forward. Right?
She's a freight train.
I don't rarely
Yeah.
see her. I should say, see her. Taking angles, a lot of head movement. I mean, she does, but like I said,
She's never had to.
primarily it's
You're right.
Straight right down the middle, straight, just
and
throwing
that's
a fastball.
what she's going to do. She's going to dig those hips in. She's going to toss her
Yep.
with that judo, and she's just, she can go for the finish. I really.
That would be a great comeback. If she was going to do it, finish her off.
true.
Yeah.
Take out a freight train.
Yes.
Not to toot my own horn, but it was only my second gig working for King of the Cage, and it was at the Braemar Country Club, and it was literally underground. It was awesome. Everybody had to get dressed up in the where the golfers or whatever, the golfing
Clubhouse.
locker room. They brought them on a golf cart all the way down, and we fought literally in an underground parking lot with an open side. And everybody was there. Herb Dean, John McCarthy was there, and Gocourt. I had known Gocourt from being on my show, and he says, "Hey man, this girl Rhonda, she's really good. She's a judo player, or whatever." So okay, the weigh-ins the day before, she was fighting Ileana Gomez, and they had a huge fight back then. My daughter had one of those what are those slide phones that you have or whatever. I can't remember.
The
What,
sidekick?
Oh, yeah,
She had
yeah.
a sidekick. She was taping it, and they were just like that.
Let's
there.
see.
How is it that we have a sidekick in 2017?
They're talking, and my daughter was like this, whatever. And I'm like, oh God, she's gonna see her. She's gonna see her. So they actually made Rhonda drink a half a gallon of water to come up 4 pounds to fight her because they were gonna call the fight off. And so she did it, and we got the fight going or whatever. And Gocourt says, "Hey man, this girl's really good. I'm telling you." And I'm like, okay, I never heard of Rhonda, but whatever. Dude, little did I know she just. I had barely finished making the announcement. I went, sat down. I got my cards for the next fight. I looked up, and all I saw was Ileana Gomez's feet flying upside down, bam, in the armbar, and she was done that quick. So.
And she stuck to that game plan for quite a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then Rhonda was real cool. We had her on the show a couple of times when we did the live show over at the OTM in Vegas. She came, like I said, on your guys' show. She was there at 9:40 for a 10 o'clock show and everything like that. Really, really good and on the up and coming and really doing well. And I don't want to ruin anybody's reputation, but very, very nice. I mean, it was always nice to us. Cool person. I don't know, things change when you get to a certain level.
Yeah, when they
in
buy
this
you a
game
Ferrari, I don't
or
know.
whatever. I mean, I'm sure anywhere she goes, everybody wants
Tell me.
or wants to
Give me
fight
the
her.
chance.
Everybody's like, oh, I could take Rhonda or whatever. I don't know if she gets that. If they're stupid, if they do, but I don't know if she gets that. So, I really personally think that she needs to come back. I personally think that she will. I've talked to a few people, and I think she's going to come back. And I think she will eventually bring women's MMA to another level, and we'll have an all-women's pay-per-view.
Well said.
Speaking on that, John Moon, our buddy of ours,
Yeah, Mr.
he
Moon.
just mentioned EBI yesterday had
EBI.
an all women's
Yes.
tournament.
Yes.
Smart.
Wow.
And I heard it went
Thank
really
you, John
well.
Moon.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe was Brooke Mayo. Was Brooke Mayo on that?
I'll
on
take
that
a look
show?
at the card and get back to
because
you.
she came on my Wednesday show and I talked to her not about that. She had a fight, and like right after they booked her for that. So it just goes to show, man, that it's really coming up. We're in the home stretch. Real quick before since Robert brought that up. By the way, great pay-per-view. Was really happy. Was really happy that I
was
actually
exciting.
shelled the money out for it. So I'm gonna let that other one go.
Come to
Dana
Danny
White,
Kaye's
I'm gonna let
next
that
time.
other one go. You owe me 60, but I'm gonna let that go. Speaking about that on jiu-jitsu, I get this a lot, dude. Constantly. The jiu-jitsu has come almost full circle with the Eddie Bravo and the 10th Planet, because you remember before, back in the day, when we would go to Grappler's Quest, there was, if you were butt scooting and trying to go for leg locks, people thought you were like a punk.
Yeah.
It was all about
Still
getting them
do.
down, going cross-side position and working for submission and stuff like that. But it's changed so much, Well, I hate it personally, the 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu style, because I'm fat and I can't do that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I got a
It's
bad
for
hip.
flexible
and I can't,
people, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like the least flexible person, but Give me your thoughts on that real quick before we get out of here, because I personally like old school jiu-jitsu. You know, like I said before, I get choked out by an year ago with the gi, but nonetheless, it just seems like now it's just get on your butt, go for the leg lock, and it just keeps kind of going like that. Do you think that that's good for the sport, or do you think we need to kind of tail back and kind of bring it a little more old school?
I mean, me personally, I'm more of a traditionalist in the sense that I prefer to work for that takedown.
Right.
You know, I don't know. I mean, not to speak ill on anything, but I just feel it kind of does. I don't know if the right word would be cheapens it.
Right.
Maybe not. But I mean, again, you know, like I said, I was taught the old school way. I was taught, you know, you clinch up, you tie up,
Earn it.
Yeah, exactly. You earn
Go
it. You
for the
work for it.
takedown.
Go for the takedown.
Go for position.
That's right. You know, you get on top. You pass the
You
guard.
came to
you
fight,
get in the
so
you
you're
get
gonna
in the
have to fight
cross
for that
side.
takedown.
So Dando, you would agree?
Yeah, absolutely, because that's what it's all about. You didn't get in there to sit on your butt and beg someone to get on the floor with you.
Exactly.
You put them on the floor.
Right. Look, like I said, I'm just jealous because I can't do that stuff or whatever. But you know, on the other hand, with all that, the EBI and stuff like that, jiu-jitsu guys are finally starting to get paid. They're starting to make some good money. They're actually, people are going to go see it. It's kind of like Olympic wrestling. They changed the rules because it was so boring that they want to keep the action going. They want to keep the pace high, you know, and like that. So on one hand, it's good for the sport because people are finally starting to get paid to do jiu-jitsu, and they're doing these big shows. But it kind of, you know, for lack of a better term, cheapens the sport because it's completely changed from old school jiu-jitsu.
I agree.
Would you agree?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a discussion a few weeks back
oh.
on one of our shows with Russ Mura
Yeah.
about this subject. Is it truly jiu-jitsu if it's not?
But it is, again,
fight-minded?
also, I mean, again, this is just my opinion. It's a humble opinion. You know, it takes away from the martial art of it,
Right.
which deep down, when you get down to, you know, the nitty gritty, that's what it is. It's a martial art,
But
you know.
But you know, I see Eddie and I go, God dang, how does he do that? I mean, it's just the positions that, you know, I'm like, there's no way I could rubber guard and mission control. And I'm thinking that, first of all, I'll pop my hip as soon as I grab my foot and try to bring it up.
Break
or
my
what-
own ankle.
Exactly. But
Is it genius? I'm not gonna lie, it is. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a genius system. You know what I mean? I do agree. But again, as far as getting it there, I mean, just again, my opinion, I prefer to work for the takedown. That's just
you know, on the mat sponsors a guy named Rafael Lovato Jr. And this guy,
Oh, dude.
he's like the first American that just went to Brazil and actually BJ Penn did the same thing, but you know, went to Brazil and did so much damage out there with the gi. Traditional will go right for you. When they had the first Jiu-Jitsu Expo, I got to see him in person. I think might have been Hodger Gracie or whatever pulled out, so he had to go against somebody else. And just to see that dude work, you know, and he was just amazing, just going from position, you know, and then it ends up winning with basic, for lack of a better term, like just a straight armbar.
Yeah,
Or
the fundamentals, if you would.
Dude,
Yeah.
he will get that mount, and before you know it, boom, you're tapping. You know, the guy really when we talk about traditional jiu-jitsu and, you know, the martial art itself, that's the epitome of it, that guy right there. Because and when you start opening up schools in Germany and doing seminars all the way across the world, that's huge.
Yeah.
That guy's awesome. And then you got like Buchecha and you got like Hodger Gracie, you know, those guys like that. Those guys, you see them in the gi, just for myself, because like I said, I can get choked out easy. Just to see them work in the gi like that is just amazing to me. So,
I totally agree. Yeah.
you know, so for the people listening to us, hey, let us know. I mean, is it cool with the Eddie Bravo, with the mission control and the what's this system called, 10th Planet
Rubber guard.
submission or whatever? It's good for the sport because the guys are starting to get paid. They're having these big tournaments and stuff like that. But then on the other hand, you got the traditional guys like Rafael Lovato Jr., Buchecha, Hodger Gracie, those guys like that.
It's exciting to watch that.
Yeah, it's still there. So it remains to be seen. I personally like it because that's how we were, you know, we talked about that on your guys' show too.
Well, yeah.
That's your problem.
Hey, these are sister shows, man. We're just building on each other. We love
exactly.
that.
Robert, you want to
So-
chime in on that? You
Yeah,
wanna put the gi
devil's
on?
advocate, of course, as I usually play. But Eddie Bravo created the system based off fighting.
Right.
It's a no-gi system that he thought would be used well in mixed
UFC.
martial arts. So
Yeah.
that's where that system came from.
Well-
to prevent yourself from getting hit and things
Right.
like that. The butt scooting, I don't think it's primarily an Eddie Bravo thing or a 10th Planet thing.
That's
at
true.
all.
Yeah, yeah,
I
you're right.
think
I could
it's
agree with that. Yeah.
a sports
The individual.
jiu-jitsu thing. But when Nick and Nate Diaz
Something
does
they
it,
should
it's
take
funny,
points away for.
right?
Sure.
I mean, you know what I mean. So like, I get it. You know, I get it. It's not the most attractive thing. It kind of reminds you of your dog when they got the itchy butt thing. But at the same time, it's like,
Well,
it just depends. It just
let's
depends
pose
on
it
the
to our
situation.
guest, Aaron. Are you familiar with the butt scoop? And
Yeah, I am.
give us your thoughts on that. You think it takes away from the sport, or?
I mean, I'm not a jiu-jitsu expert, so but for me, to me, because I'm a fan, it's fighting,
True.
and
Well,
so
Luckily,
And that doesn't look like fighting.
with this,
but to me, like I had told you, remember I had told you guys, I think that people should do foot stomping more,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
'Cause you're
Well,
That's
vicious.
some old school shit.
That-
You're vicious.
That she makes a great point there. Sorry to interrupt.
Uh-huh.
But if it was on a street and somebody started doing that, I guess the first reaction would be punt him in his face, right?
right.
Or try to kick him in his face.
Or stomp him out.
And I'm not too sure because it's, I mean, do they train to be able to be prepared to grab your foot when they do that? I know why they do it, because they can engage into some kind of situation where they lock you up in legs, De La Hiva, or whatever they want to
Right.
get into.
Bolo.
Yeah, and try to take you down from that or sweep. But what happens when it's not a sports situation and there aren't any rules? Are they prepared to take a punt to the face? Can they protect themselves?
Right.
So that's a question I would love to know.
Yeah.
If
No,
they
I
train
mean,
that
I've only
part.
seen one really high level guy, and I forget his name, but he was able to execute so quickly that you weren't able to stomp him out, punch him, or anything, and he'd get you to the ground.
Okay, that's pretty good.
It was amazing.
Well,
50-50.
luckily here at this studio, we have a cage, we have the mats and everything just to my right over here.
That's
so for
right.
the people listening to us, with this show, what's your guys' show's on Sunday?
Yes, it is.
And what's the name of it?
We're coming it up. It's picking it up.
Picking it up.
We'll let you know.
We're working on that, Robert. We talked a little bit about that before we went on the air. We can actually take the cameras in there.
Yep.
So when we have a guest on here, we can pose that question to him, take him over there, show a little bit of the technique, and we can really put it to the test.
Yeah, exactly. And any guest who comes on that has those type of skills and knowledge, we would love to pick your brain, because we could watch a fight and be like, how did he do this? Can you please show
We'd
us
love to highlight
why
that.
something was successful for Damian Maya and why it was
True.
not? What did Tyrone Woodley do? What was the wrong thing that Ronda had with that Holly?
Right.
So we would love to have guests come over here and break things down for us.
I personally think on Sunday their first guest should be John Delo. You could block off 2 hours because he's gonna keep
gonna hijack
going.
the show.
He's gonna start and then there's not gonna be no finish for 2 hours. But he is a stickler for that. We talk about that constantly. That's ridiculous. This is the true sport and everything like that. So
And
it
he
remains to
should
be
know.
seen. But it's good that we can use this as a vehicle to bring it to the people and show them the different techniques and things like that.
That's
So
right.
I would think that's great.
And that little mini dojo has John Delo's name on it. So anybody
Yes.
wants to come down and train with us, please feel free to do so.
Well, we can have our special guest Erin get choked so she could feel the pressure and everything like
That's a
that.
true
But
fan.
Erin, would you be willing to, or the other Erin, either one?
What-
we're equal
what-
opportunity choke out people here.
What does he
both.
look like?
Who, John?
Yeah.
He's about
Let me see a picture of
6'5".
him. I'll
He's about
decide. Do I want to be? Is this
6'5",
someone I want to be
70
choked by or
so,
not? I don't know.
Just a little bit.
And then Favi brings a great point too. The thing is, when we tell you to interact with us, we really mean interact with us. Both of our shows are streaming live on Facebook
Right.
and YouTube. So when we have guests, go ahead and chat with us. We will be able to get you some feedback right away.
That's
And
right. John Moon, thank you for doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's why I would have liked to have Mark Black on here to show some techniques. But I would also like to get Kenny Johnson on here because his Bolt Wrestling took a lot of my guys to the promised land, Milliken wrestlers. I mean, his Bolt Wrestling will get you to the promised land. I used it. It actually works. I've had kids that were struggling. I mean, freshmen that were just getting killed, all of a sudden beating guys that are on varsity just from using a lot of his techniques, and it works. It really works. So I'd love to get him in here, show some of the techniques over there. So it just remains to be seen. It'd be great to get those guys in here and really work it. So again, to our guest, anytime you're more than welcome to come. We'll show some takedowns on you. You could feel the choke and things of that because we're all interactive here, correct?
We love
That's
it.
right.
That's what we're all about.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So we don't
So
want to talk about it. We want to do it.
we good to go, Robert?
We are good to go.
Okay, so for the people listening to us, don't forget every Monday right here from 8 to 9, Fit to Fight with Favi Chulo. Hopefully I'll have either one of these guys back with me. We'll have an in-studio guest, and we'll talk a little bit more about UFC, talk a little more sport jiu-jitsu, and start to integrate a little bit of wrestling technique for the people that are listening to us. And you can even watch. So again, to my boys, Miguel, Dando, a million thank yous for coming on, to our special guest,
Thank you.
Aaron. Hey,
Thank you,
great
Favi.
input, man.
Yeah,
That was
thanks
great
for
to have
having
you
me
on.
on.
I think you missed your calling. I think you might have something to do.
telling
And to
you.
our other guest, Aaron, who sat in. She's got a little bit of comedy stuff coming up or whatever. As
got
you
a
can
show
see, the
coming.
show is just totally serious. We don't mess around here.
That's
so
right.
it was good to have you in to break the ice. So with all that being said, make sure you're back here next Monday for sure, 8 to 9, Fit to Fight with Favi Chulo. See you guys next Monday.
Peace.